Hey, good morning. Let's hope this is working. It sure looks like it is. If you are watching, please throw a comment in there so I know that things are working. I told you it was going to be a on the road pour over today. Here we are. Uh, you can really get a good glimpse of my balding head. And here, let me give you beautiful up here, huh? We're in an Airbnb. They in Minneapolis, they call themselves Treetop. Let's see who's writing. Now, this is going to be a little tricky. Good morning, Chelsea. I'm so happy you're here. Hey, Chelsea, since we're the only ones in here, how was the meeting yesterday? I had to bail pretty quickly. I thought it was great to be back. I thought it was great to have a meeting. It's been a while. And I know that I really was hoping that we could have a marketing one, but we had to get that one out of the way. So we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Erica to have hers. It's just been such a crazy time. It was good. I'm so happy they're back. So am I. I thought it felt really good, and there's been a lot of really cool things happening uh, that I've been a part of, and that I haven't been. So I was like, I thought it was fun to hear her rolling through stuff that Erica has been actively doing, or that Val's been actively doing, uh, that didn't have to sit on my shoulders uh, or exclusively on either of their shoulders. Like, it feels like there's a real cohesion happening. So I'm really glad, and I'm really glad you're joining us in Louisville. I think it's going to be interesting. We have quite a few Four Horsemen people. Some that haven't been at events, some that. A couple of people that Erica was excited she hasn't met them in person. So that's always a fun time. And yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. If you have, since it's just you and I, Chelsea, people watching it later skip over all this, I'm sure. If you have any other panel ideas, you submitted some good panel ideas last time that we took. If you have any, throw them at me, because in the next week, I plan on mapping out the panels and getting those submitted, because we're going to do some, what's the key word? Integrated marketing for all of it this coming week. It was cool to hear everything happening in the background. I'm also super excited for Louisville. So am I. In fact, I found a thing that Maeve found a thing yesterday that I was going to share, especially with our Louisville PopCon people. There is an author festival or a book festival a couple of weeks after, I think. But it's in Louisville. So anybody that's down there, a lot of the authors were telling me they're not far from there. There is a festival, so we want to jump on that and get people out to that if that's going to happen. Yeah, panel topics, give them to me. You know what I like is if you can come up with a nice sticky title for it, great. A description, great. If all you've got is like, I've got an idea, that works too. Not as well, because then I got to think about it. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. It's going to be smaller. They don't have as many tickets sold. Since it's only their second year there, the first year they were in an odd place. It wasn't the convention center, and they said that really hurt them. There was nothing, no restaurants, no nothing within walking distance, and that really hurt their traffic. This time, we're at the convention center, so it's right in the heart of everything. Lots of restaurants around there. In fact, one of them came in as a banner sponsor, which once we get a few more people in here, we'll kind of talk about all that. Oh, it's on the road coffee. Look at these cute mugs. They have a whole stack of these. I don't know where they got them. I don't want to tip my cup upside down to see. But they have a stack of them, and they're like, it's the rainbow, but they're all this same kind of mug, all stacked on each other. They're really going to go in a thing. It could be Amazon, could be IKEA, who knows? Target, who knows? But they're really cute and excellent mugs. So, well, I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, they are cute. I am going to talk about that a little bit. So, one of the things we're doing differently, and this is very uh, integrated marketing thinking. Well, we're doing a couple of things. One is, and this is different. If you've done a lot of cons, if you've gone to a lot of cons, if you pay attention to the marketing, you'll see that, they have a special guest, and they'll have like some kind of announcement of that special guest, and that goes out on all the social media, and it all look the same. That's multi-channel, and that's also integrated. They're trying to make it like, hey, this is the look of PopCon this year. Everything you see has that vibe to it, and hopefully it's delivering a similar message of what it is. And PopCon has done a good job with that in the past. And we have actually used their stuff and then changed it to fit what we're doing, so that if you see anything from us during these PopCon times or during Writers Row things, they look like the con we're at. But they might be things that we've created. So once again, it's creating unity. It is delivering a similar message so that we have this integration across all of our channels, across their channels. Uh, and I keep working with them, talking to them about more ways we can do that, because it's good for all of us. I mean, you want to you want to talk about a funny integrated marketing thing? Watch, I'll be the only one that thinks it's funny. Uh, at the last one, on the last day, they even had me doing the announcements. So, I mean, we could laugh and say, "Oh, now Rob's doing the announcements at the thing," but actually, that was a marketing ploy where we kept asking them about announcements till they understood how important they were. And then we said, well, we'll be happy to do them. And I can't promote what we're doing, but it created a unity where across their various channels, if they heard, they call it the voice of God, if the voice of God came on, people knew it was Writers Row, that it was me coming from Writers Row, the same guy from the panels, the same guy with the bookstore. And it wasn't about, I don't want to give the impression that it's about me. It's not. What it is it is creating a sound, a unity across all channels. Sorry, I'm having trouble holding this thing up. My arms are tired. I slept on a regular mattress last night. My arm is safe. So sorry if I do the one of these moves. Uh, One of our old podcasters, I used to always tease him for that, because he recorded from his kitchen, and he always recorded that kind of funny angle. Uh, so whenever I do an impression of him, I always do that. Now he can make fun of me if he wants. So okay, so back to it. We've got the guests that are going to be there, and if you go to writersrow.org, or if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see a banner image. It's got the Writers Row logo, and then I've started putting the authors that are going to appear. Oh, by the way, there's at least 3 that are not on there yet. Announcements coming soon. So I'm so excited. But you can see it's got this unity. Each of the things have the same color patterns and images, and there's a vibe to it. And that's before we've even gotten the stuff from PopCon. As soon as we get their stuff, I can change all of it out and still have that cohesion across everything. Uh, but we also are doing something, and this is the thing I don't see from other people out there. We advertise our panels. Now, the first PopCon we did, I got access to the website right before, and I was able to get in there, put in our own descriptions, change the titles. That's really important, okay? Because before that, it would just say Panel Room A, the history of comics. And then I noticed when I was in there, somebody had put an image. So let's say it was a Marvel Comics panel. They put an image of a Marvel character and it said Marvel Comics panel on it. I went, we could do artwork for it. So I made artwork for every single panel. And we did a little bit of marketing for it, but it was only, a week before. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. The last PopCon, we didn't have that access, and it was really hard to make that work. So we didn't do it. I did create artwork for most of the panels, and we did a little bit, but we didn't do what we're going to do. Now, we are far enough out. What we're doing is, in this next week, we're going to solidify what our panels are. We're going to use that same look, the same message that we have on the authors that are going to be there, about the books that are going to be available, but we are also doing the panels. So every panel is going to have its own artwork, and we're going to promote it through social media, on our website, every place we can. And that way, once again, to the client, that's not a great way to say it. That sounds cold. To the fan, how about that, that's out there, the person who's, whether they've encountered us before and they know who we are, or they're new, they're going to see, oh, it's the same group doing these panels. It's the same group with the signing area. It's the same group selling this and doing that. And, oh, everything they're saying has this message, this community-minded, fun thing. Okay, kind of hard to wrap that up in verbiage. So 2 weeks from now, social media from Southgate Media Group, social media on Four Horsemen, social media from PopCon, our websites, our newsletters, our everything will start having the panels. So Chelsea, get that panel idea in, and we're going to start dripping those out real fast. In fact, it's not really a drip. It's more of we're going to turn a faucet on and put it on slow. That last week, we'll turn it on high. But what we want to do is, and this is something that I think they miss out on out there, I think panels are incredibly interesting. I think they can be a draw in and of themselves to people that go to cons. If you show them enough fun, interesting content, they might come to the con just for the panels they're going to see. Right? So if we can build something that has that type of feel to it, we might be able to draw more people to the con, more people to our booth, sell more books, get more email addresses, make new fans, get awesome engagement. That right there is a pretty good example of integrated marketing and what we're doing during Integrated Marketing Palooza. I cannot change I guess it's over here, up in the corner. I can't change it to my Integrated Marketing Palooza logo because I'm doing this from my phone, which is hard enough because I can barely see what's going on here. I have the wrong glasses. Chelsea Road. Oh, mysterious. Can't wait to find out who the writers are. Oh, you can't. They're going to be good ones. And then we already have some exciting things on the docket for Indie PopCon next year. Hopefully we'll pick up some other places we can do this. I've got a really fun one that I'm working on right now. Anyone that's in the Elgin, Illinois area around Halloween, you definitely want to have your ears tuned for when my announcement comes, if this all happens. It's very different than Writers Row, but it is a Writers Row event, essentially, tied into something. And that's as cagey as... actually, that is completely cagey. That's as open as I'm going to be about it at this point. I do have an announcement. Actually, Chelsea, you got questions before I make my announcement? I'm watching. How cool is this back here, huh? I think it's cool. All right, I'll make my announcement. Um, so something interesting has happened in the last few weeks, and I have talked about it somewhat on here. But when I was doing the marketing for that movie for Profit, which, by the way, did get its second week, which is exactly what the goal was, and wham, they got their second week in theaters. And on the 26th, I think, it goes to pay-per-view, video on demand. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it Vudu. I think Roku has it, which is awesome. So if you want to see the movie that Molly and I are in, it is something you can rent, and the more rentals we get, the better it is for all of us involved. That is for profit. And I'll put it on my social media, obviously. In fact, I think I did already. If I didn't, then it's triggered to go today. So in there, I ended up working with a guy who owns a radio station. And we are actively in discussion about me getting more and more involved with this radio station. That I can't really talk about too much. For my Four Horsemen family, it doesn't affect you guys in any way other than I may have access to a radio station. So the really cool thing, though, is at a bare minimum, they want this show. So we may evolve this from my sitting in my bathrobe at home on Saturday morning for an hour to actually being on the radio, doing the same thing. It will stream it the same way. It's just going to look a little bit different. They said I could do it from home, but I think I'm going to end up doing it from the station because it looks really cool doing it there. But here's the crazy thing. It won't just be what we were doing and now on a radio station. It's an AM station in Elgin. But they said, well, we actually can send it out to affiliates. You can be on 1,000 stations across the country every Saturday morning. Not really going to change the format of the show much, other than I'll have a much easier time with having somebody help me, like bring guests on, get things switched. It'll just look a little bit different, and it will up the game of what we're doing. What I might do is do this just as is, and then in the second hour, do that. Because that could be the interview portion of it, and talk about a subject and bring a guest on. But this could still continue to be just our casual AMA coffee hang that we do. So I haven't figured out exactly what the order is. There's a certain order of operations that we have to stick to, just like PEMDAS. Math nerd, right? There is an order of operations that I have to figure out what is best for you, what is best for how this is going to work. But it is so cool that this little experiment might now be a radio show that's broadcast across the country, and it will stream on their site and we'll stream other places. But we'll keep our mojo exactly where it is, which I think is cool too. And I do have I do have a lot of guests. I just haven't triggered it because I really like this format. I really like just talking with you guys. It'd be a lot of fun if I got more questions in here. But again, today we're kind of slow. We've only got a couple of people. One is Chelsea. One is probably my mom lurking, if I had to guess, because that's how it works. Let's see. Hey, let's just say it's Integrated Marketing Palooza. I wish I could change my banner. Let me see if I can change that. Did it change? Yeah, there we go. Integrated Marketing Palooza. We already spent time talking about it. Might as well call it what it is. So this brings me to my question. Since Chelsea, once again, we're having apparently a private session here. What have you been doing? Have you been experimenting with your marketing? Have you tried doing any type of integrated marketing at all? And if not, that's completely cool. I just wondered if this has sparked anything. And while I'm asking, I'm going to show you the neighborhood. So we're, like I said, we're in Treetop. So we're way up high. There's the street down there. It's lovely. It's just lovely. I was going to do this from a bedroom. And then I thought my voice is just kind of loud. And I thought, you know what? Everybody's kind of asleep. And, well, Maeve isn't. She's in the room next to me. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to go out on this deck. And if I start to get eaten by mosquitoes, I'll run inside. I'm lucky. No mosquitoes this morning. Last night, swarm. So must be nice and early. Just enough breeze to keep them away. Okay, Chelsea, here we go. I've been trying to do more sharing of other posts. Been trying to make sure I solidify my color scheme on my posts. Really good. Really good. Sharing posts is critical. Watching for where you can do that. I mean, I know some people feel like they can overdo on that, but really it's an 80-20 rule. If you talk to any like really successful social media marketer, uh, when it's not, Frito-Lay doesn't share your stuff. But for most small businesses, for individuals, if you want to grow audience, you want to become an influencer in your category, the 80-20 rule is really good. 80% of what you do is shares. 20% is original content. So if you post twice a week, that means 8 times you want to share things. And when you share, it's always best to make a comment, or it's always great if you make a comment on something you want to share. I do that a lot. I'll say, like, I love this. I'm going to share it to my feed, blah, blah, blah. Maybe some comment about it. And then when I hit share, I make a comment to my audience and say, I love the idea here. I thought you guys could really use this, or whatever it is, something that shows a little engagement for me, not just hitting the share button. And that can really trigger the algorithm on Facebook, on Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever it is. All the platforms love that because it shows engagement, and that engagement is good all the way around. For you, for them, that's why it kind of prioritizes things. So yeah, that's good. The color scheme thing, it matters. The more that's your branding. And if you can really think about your branding, it doesn't mean you have to go out and get a logo. It can simply be, I drink coffee during my thing. I wear a blue shirt. Branding. That is making a whole thing. When you deliver a message, my message that I do on a lot of my things is about, look, I'm here to help. Look, I answer questions. Look, I want you to succeed. I talk about dreams a lot. That is cohesive across anything I do related to this stuff. For Southgate Media Group, the same thing is can be said. The same thing is actually going to grow from there. In fact, I'm going back to, I haven't launched it yet because I want to have a little stockpile of posts, but I'm going back to something I used to do, which was really, when I say successful, it was successful for me in that it got a lot of attention. A lot of people talked about it, told me about it, that I didn't know, which means I was picking up followers and gaining interest. But for me, it was, on a personal side, it was really emotionally good. And from an outward side, it was definitely very positive for people that followed me, people that used my stuff. I just talked about dreams. I'm not going back to talk about dreams. I'm going back to do uh, kind of encouragement and coaching things, but I'm going to do it very targeted. I'm going to do it through my social media, and I'm going to tie it back to my other stuff so that people understand what I'm about and what I'm trying to do. I know that was kind of a vague way of doing it. I'm vague booking right now. with my idea. But just know that that's coming, and it's going to be good. I'm doing something similar, a more formalized version on Four Horsemen's social media. If you go to the author, there's a group that we have called Author Accountability. And if you notice, a couple times a week, there'll be a post like, try writing this way. Here are some words you could use, or blah, blah, blah. It's very encouraging. It's really good stuff for authors. I don't write those. I'm taking the Four Horsemen's Accountability Guide from, they've done it like 3 years, and I just take segments out of those and I just share them. But they're really good. They get authors writing. People have written me privately and asked questions, and I'm like, great. I can send you to who you need to, or I can recommend this resource. I love it. I love it. That one I'm not having to make up. This other thing is me. I make it up, and it's going to tie back to all of it. And in fact, you're going to see it bleeding through into the radio station. And, well, you're not going to see it in Four Horsemen, what I'm doing there exactly, except in my newsletter stuff that I send out. Okay, let's talk about newsletters. I feel like I'm talking about myself a lot today. Must be the coffee. I do want to talk about newsletters. I love to talk about newsletters. I think they're a great platform for doing things. Couple of things that I want to bring up. So you're a small business. I've told you before, you need to have a newsletter. It needs to be part of your mix. There's a difference between a blog and a newsletter. It doesn't mean they can't shake hands. A blog is typically one subject, and it's a little bit longer form. Okay. So for Mic Drop, I share tips on podcasting, and I've started sharing a couple of times I've done it, and I just did it this week, like top 5 true crime podcasts to listen to, or top 5 whatever, because I think, number one, that's really good. People are always looking for ways to promote what they're doing. If you can organically help somebody out, it's a really good, positive thing. And it's informative. I know I've found a lot of podcasts by other people that have posted lists like this, like, hey, I'm a host you like on this show. You're recommending these 5 podcasts. I remember this even happened with reading. I was reading The Dark Half by Stephen King, and his character is a writer in that. What a shock. He uses that a lot. And the writer was talking about books that he loved, and he named a few. One of them was T.E.D. Klein's The Ceremonies, I remember, was one of them. I don't remember what else. That one for sure. And I looked at those, and there was like 3 or 4 books that he recommended in the book. I went out and I bought those books right away. I was like, this makes sense. He's recommending these. Obviously, Stephen King likes these books, otherwise he wouldn't put them in this. I'm going to check him out. I like what he's doing here. Same thing that I'm doing with my thing. What that does also then is I write to those shows, let them know that I feature them in an article, thank them for being cool, mention like, hey, if you wouldn't mind sharing it, that'd be cool. And what it does is, number one, it puts you in front of their audience. If they have an audience of 10,000, you have an audience of 100, guess what? You just expanded your audience for that blog post by 10,000. You should pick up some fish, right? Beyond that, though, there's a lot of goodwill there, and people really appreciate that. And for you, if you use it right, take that blog post, put it on your website. That, because it's on your website and the link that you're giving to them is there, if they take it and share something and that link appears on their website, it's created a backlink. There's a mosquito. A backlink, which is really good for your SEO. You want as many good, not broken backlinks as you can get. Those are really good to have. So when you make these top 5 lists, when you mention somebody and put a link in your article and it comes and they get it, it creates a backlink for them, valuable to them. If they do a reciprocity and do it for you, backlink for you. That's a really positive thing. We were talking on this call yesterday about newsletters a little bit and the importance how everybody should be doing them. Now that was a blog. For a newsletter, you can do the same kind of thing, but shorter. Make it shorter articles, kind of like like think of a magazine versus a newspaper. Newspaper, yeah, there are a few bigger articles, but then there's also articles that are short segments, right? Sometimes you get that, and then if you go to their website now, you'll see there'll be like a longer version that's more detailed and sometimes cited. That's their blog post. Continue reading the blog post for more details. Okay? So blog, single subject, longer. Doesn't have to be really long, but longer. Newsletter, short, bite-sized, but they can have links that lead you to blog posts, right? So like the Four Horsemen newsletter that I do, I take their blog and if I find an article that I think is something juicy that isn't just a promotion for something, but something that like, oh, here's an article about writing, or here's an article about this. I'll take that. I'll put the artwork. I'll maybe make a segment of it, the first paragraph, and then I'll say read more at blank. So they can read it, they can get the gist and go, oh, cool, in the newsletter. But if they want to read more, click and ooh, there's 1,000 words about it as opposed to 200 words, right? Take that newsletter. Now you've got the blog on the website. You can also create a newsletter archive on your website and literally throw that newsletter on there. If you're doing your SEO job, some of you are going to go, I don't. But let's say you do. You can now take that. You can add, this is more technical, you can add H1 tags to everything. Go find your keywords, make sure they're in there. And you can alter your newsletter a little bit to be formatted this way. Once again, it creates backlinks. It creates these tags that Google loves to search for, because that's what SEO is. People think, oh, I don't know what they think it is, but what it is it is search engine optimization. You are trying to play the games that Google, Yahoo, Bing, that they use to rank people. So if I type in Chelsea, I want to have all these things, or Chelsea author. I want to have my SEO right. I want to have my newsletter that has these words. I want to have my blog that has these words. I want it to be in my website certain ways. I want to put it as alternate text on images. That's important. So that when somebody searches and they type in, oh, I saw this author at Writer's Row, her name was Chelsea. Shoot, I can't remember her name. And I type in Chelsea author, you want to be at the top of the list. It comes up Chelsea Burton Dunn. That's what SEO does for you. It's tricky. It takes a lot of work. If you're not up to the work, don't worry about it. Maybe let it happen organically, but write your newsletter, put it in archive. Write blog posts, put it there. Think about what are the words people might search for to find me, or to find what I'm talking about, to find my subject of my art or my books or my music. And make sure you get enough blog posts, newsletter posts that use those keywords. And if you're more advanced, make sure you're using H1 tags, make sure you're using H2 tags. If nothing else, make sure that if you use an image, you have an alt image tag and where you describe what's in the picture, but you can also throw those tag words in, or those keywords, I'm sorry. Okay, wait, we got people writing here. Just want to tell you I'm at work now, but I can listen for a little bit longer. Well, Chelsea, I think I've done the Chelsea show already here. Let's see. Good morning. Hope you're having a great day. I'll watch this later running around this morning. Thanks for all the information. Good. Okay. I wanted to end early, but people are getting a lot out of this. So I want to make sure I keep talking about it. Chinto, good to see you in there. So, yeah, newsletters are important. Now, another thing, and I talked about this on the call yesterday, another thing on one of the calls, I didn't talk on both. And I know I'm frameworking it in writers because that's what I've been talking to a lot lately. But once again, this goes if you're a house painter and you've got social media, you're that guy that does the power washing of driveways. If you've ever seen him, his stuff is great. Okay, he's doing social media to build his business, right? You get a newsletter, which once again I would highly encourage because they're now saying to you, please market to me. I'm giving you my email so if you, no matter what you're doing, if you have the opportunity, do interviews or I should say it this way. How do I say this? Get other people involved in your newsletter. So I have Mic Drop. I do a thing called 5 Questions where I will, and I haven't put it on there. I've put it on, shoot, I don't remember where I put it, but I'm actually going to start adding it to my newsletter for Mic Drop. So I do 5 questions and I just contact podcasters. I don't care how big they are. They could be the biggest in the world or they could be somebody that's just starting out. And I ask them 5 questions. I can take those questions and I can put it as a video, put it as audio links. I can also have a transcription. There's a newsletter post. What does that do? Number one, provide some interesting, different entertainment. People really do like that kind of thing. It's informative and educational because I'm asking people in the industry, and I make sure that I ask them a fluffy question. Hey, what's your favorite food in Chicago? And business related. How did you get started? What advice do you have for newbies? Right? So I make it entertaining and educational. And it's short. It's 3 to 5 questions. I do a 3-1. I do a 5-1. I don't remember which one I do for the podcasting thing. Mosquitoes again. So you can do this with whatever industry you're in. I mean, Chinto, you're doing art. You're in Artist Alley. You could take writers. You could take artists. You could say, hey, would you mind answering 3 questions? Have 3 pre-written questions. Make sure you're educational. Make sure you're entertaining. Record it. Audio, video, and then you can use a program called Descript, and it will transcribe it for you. Clean up that transcription. You want to get technical, go out and figure out what the keywords are and add those to your H1 tags. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Just do the other things. And put that in your newsletter. Great content. It's great content. People love it. It's highly shareable. And the people that you interviewed are going to share it. You ask them, hey, could you make sure you share this with your audience? I've talked about Substack, how much I love that, how you can share things just randomly. I find a Substack, an article I really like, and I can just share it to my audience and say, hey, here's one I thought you might be interested in. It's not one of my posts. It's something I've sent out to my audience that might be interested in this article. If you've interviewed somebody, sure as hell they're going to think that their audience is going to find that interesting, right? So for the writers, I was saying, interview the other writers in 4 Horsemen. Right there, that's an easy one. When you encounter other writers out in the wild, interview them, do 3 questions or make it a more extensive interview, whatever you want to do. You can make it a podcast, you can make it a little video, embed it in your newsletter, embed it on your website, put it everywhere. Just have strategy to it. Where can I put it? How can I use it? Can I chop it up? Can it be a reel? Can it be whatever? It's great content. It makes people more aware of you and what you do. And once again, if you have an audience of 100 and you talk to somebody that has an audience of 10,000, you now have reach to 10,100 people as opposed to just 100. I love doing those. I love doing them where I interview people, and I love when I get asked, and I rarely get asked. But if somebody can just say, hey, can you jump on a phone call for 10 minutes? I just want to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm going to use it for my newsletter. I'll do that all day. When somebody wants me to write one, it takes a little bit more thought to write something out. But I also do that. If somebody, one of the authors just sent me a thing, she sent me 5 questions. She said, I'm only going to use like 1 or 2 of them. So pick your 2 favorites and keep it to like 200 words each. And I wrote probably 400 to 500 words each, and I answered all 5 questions. She wrote back and she said, oh my gosh, is it okay if I use all of these? I said, sure. Use it for one newsletter, spread it out over the year, whatever you want to do. She should have recorded me, because then she'd have video and audio, which works, but okay. I'll do that stuff all day, and I hope that you will too. You should, and you should put yourself out there that you'll do it. And one of the easiest ways to do it is by inviting people onto yours and then saying, hey, if you ever want to do one, we could do one for yours. And you know what? A fair amount will say, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I could use that, because we're all looking for content. We're all looking for ways to engage our audience, to capture more audience, but it's got to be holistic. It's got to be like this kind of thing, natural, right? The other thing you could do is a newsletter takeover. You could do that on your blog too. Invite somebody to take over your newsletter and do their whole thing. Because what they do on a newsletter takeover is they're going to interview somebody and put it on there. And you just put a thing at the top like, hey, this week I decided to hand my keys over to Chelsea Burton Dunn. She's an author, blah, blah, blah. Wanted to see what she would do with my newsletter. And if you have any type of format at all, they will plug into that format and do something interesting, right? Doesn't have to be authors, could be artists, could be musicians, could be writers, could be the guy that does the power washing, can be a card detailer, it can be an environmentalist, it can be just some jamoke who sits around getting eaten by mosquitoes on his pour over. So, all right. Unless there are more questions, I think I'm going to end early today because I'm starting to get eaten. Once again, this has been from Minneapolis. We're out here. I'm actually horning in on Girls Weekend. It was supposed to be my wife, her friend, and my daughter and her girlfriend. And my wife's friend ended up not being able to do it. So they said, you're here for Girls Weekend. So I'm here for Girls Weekend. It's not about me. They want to go to anything. They want to do anything. I'm just like, hey, I'm along for the ride. You guys drive the boat. Because usually when you travel, like everybody has a say. They're still saying I have a say, but I'm trying to like let my say be things I picked up. Like they mentioned a restaurant. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do. Because it's not about me. It's Girls Weekend. So here we are at the treetop in Minneapolis, which is so freaking fun. Guys, I'm going to end it early. Thank you so much. I'll be back next Saturday. We might even have a more concrete, solid announcement about this show. If you missed the announcement, go back and watch it. It's not really vague, but it's also not the full-on official announcement. And if you have questions, you have comments, please send them in. Keep in conversation with me. I will be back next week with more fun, more marketing palooza. Yeah, and Chelsea, write those panel descriptions for me. I want to see what you got. All right, you guys have a great, glorious weekend. Bye-bye.